everybody. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. I'm your host, Tamia Harper, and I'm joined here today with my sisters, Sabrina Wood.
Whoop, whoop.
Fran T.
What's up, folks?
And Yvette Blackman. Tom.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. We're so excited to be here on this, our 21st. We turned 21 today, y'all. Our 21st episode of the SyFy Sistas podcast. And it's our 21st episode, and we're going to be talking about Picard and the sisters. There were 3 sisters really influential in Picard's life. And so we're going to be talking about those today. And how you like that, Trek Geeks, guys? We got it back to Star Trek. We are proud members of the Trek Geeks Network. And so we just want to give a shout out to Bill and Dan, who holding down the flagship Trek Geeks podcast. What's up, guys? And let you know, we're back on Trek, and we're talking about Picard. And today, leading us through this discussion is going to be our sister, Fran. Hey, Fran.
Hey.
Take it away.
Hey, everybody. This show, I think, is really special to all of us, especially being the kind of group that we are. I thought about, this was months ago, I had thought about how Picard interacted with people in his life. And after the show Picard, it was another one to add on to it. And I'm like, okay, who does he listen to? Who tells him what he needs to know instead of what he wants to hear? Who does that? And when I thought about it, I realized that they were all Black women. Okay, Guinan might not be human, but she presents as a Black woman. So she's included in that. Plus, she's played by Whoopi Goldberg, who's, a Black woman. So, in this age of sometimes Black women being ignored,
Sometimes.
Most times. You're right, Sabrina.
Sometimes. You got a lot of guys that listen to us. A lot of women listen to us too. But just wanted to.
However, in general, you're right. You're right. We are ignored. I heard when we were at the convention, Sister Yvette brought up the fact about the commercials when she was doing the Black Super Sister Heroes, and she brought that up about, the commercials and stuff. You see these commercials now when I think it started with the Cheerio commercial. Everybody was all up and, whatever. But anyway, it just those commercials are erasing us out of everyday stuff. When I say us, I mean Black women. So then we have Picard, who's listened to Black women for years. And I'd like to call it Picard and his muse, because they have been inspirational to him. Changed time, changed places, changed history, and did all the things that were positive. And as I'm going to bring it back, they told him what he needed to hear and not what he wanted to hear. Sisters? Oh, I forgot about the women. The women are, first of all, Guinan. She was the first one. Mm-hmm. Remember Yesterday's Enterprise?
Yes.
That's what I remember her from. And Lily, First Contact.
Yeah. Great
and
Alfred
her best
Woodard.
line to me, I'm sorry?
The great Alfred Woodard.
That's right, Alfred Woodard. And her great line to me that stood out to me was, "You hurt your little ship."
You broke your little ship.
Broke your little ship. And then we discovered she had never read Moby Dick anyway. She had never read the book, but she told him what he needed to know. And last but not least, Raffi. Michelle Hurd. I mean, excuse my French, as they say, but who else can look at Picard and say, "Are you out of your goddamn mind?" Who's going to say that to Picard, the great Picard, and say, "Set a course," and, he said, "Let's do this," and you said, "Set a course and let's go," So he listened to all three of these women, and they were pretty much on point. They were on point. They helped him out in what he needed to do, and for his leadership, they were right there with him. Got any sisters? Y'all got in? Give us some input. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I think that, you know how we always joke, like, if that had been a sister, like, you would have found out the truth. Picard had his sisters who always let him know the truth. And what's interesting about all three of these characters is that they were never cowed by Picard. They stood up on their own 2 feet as their own independent selves, as their own equals to him in every way, and demanded that he accept them as equals in every way. Raffi, that could be a little bit, we can debate that, because I think she grew into that, but still, it's still like they were not treating him the way, they were not deferring to him and treating him the way that he was used to being treated on the Enterprise. Do y'all agree with me?
So what I really want to say about the three women is that they were outside of his command structure. And I think that is really important. So when your point that, Raffi could be debated, not debated, there was Raffi when she was under his command, and then there was Raffi when she was no longer under his command. So The reason why they could stand up and talk back and talk shit to him is because they were not under his command, and he was not their captain, which was a big difference between Beverly and Troy, who had to follow orders, even though they gave him their advice too, and he followed theirs as well. So, Picard, he was like that,
when he wanted to.
When he wanted to, but he was the captain. Right. And Raffi had to pull it back when he was the captain. But after he took off them bars, it was on.
I think that is the key point here, is that these women were not under his command. And it, like she said, it emphasized Raffi, because when she was under his command, although he respected her, she was still under his command and eventually had to do what he said. So I always had a problem with Lily, not because she was a Black woman or because I love Alfre Woodard, right? Mm-hmm. Who played, right? So I love that character, but I hate the fact that they took all the lines that she used, and it always made me think, shouldn't Beverly be telling him this? It just seemed like that was her role. I mean, in the end, like you said, there are certain things she cannot say to him because she knows that she is, she's under him. But it just made me feel like, wow, so this is a character that's supposed to be part of the crew, but you took her lines and gave it to someone else. When I always had, I always was happy that Alfre Woodard was in there, but it just was like, wow, you couldn't find something else, but it worked out, but I always had that, should not have been, why is Beverly why did they have her on the bridge looking like an idiot? She's sitting there going, usually she's the one that has an argument with him about calling him out on his bullshit, but in the movies, that's just not what it was. So,
and I think it's interesting here too, because in the movies, Guinan was in the first two films, and she was not in this one. And then they almost like, oh, let's find another sister, and replaced her.
Yes,
with
because that could have been Guinan's role.
Right.
It would have made more sense to me if Guinan was the one who talked to him that way. It had to be. I would, in that way, it should have been one of the two. And it just felt to me Lily's role was kind of. They wanted to put a Black woman in there. Jonathan Frakes knew Alfre Woodard, so she got the role. They made it, because honestly, do you really need her in there? I mean, I'm glad she's there. Don't get me wrong. It just seemed like it was forced.
Yeah, like the script could have gone ahead.
Yeah, there was, it would have went. It would have went ahead without her in it.
I think what she brought to it though is this real presence
Oh, she definitely brought something to it.
That made the interactions that they had together like really different from how, made it so in your face that he couldn't ignore her.
Right.
I mean, just by, and not meaning that she was over the top either, because she wasn't. Just that, there was a gravitas and a weight to her experience and her knowledge, and being somebody who was outside of the command structure, who could say, look, I don't care. You can't demote me. You can't put me in the brig, shorty. I'm going to tell you what needs to be said. I'm going to say what needs to be said right now. You cannot, you cannot stand here on a suicide mission. Like, you can't bring this whole crew down with you, and I wonder at that moment if he would have heard that from Deanna or Beverly.
But he would have heard it from Guinan. And I think that
he would have heard it from Guinan for sure.
That's who I thought should have been in there. If it wasn't going to be his crew, then he needed that outside person that he always had throughout the 6 seasons, and then all of a sudden there's somebody new, and then Guinan's not there. So, and then you can't have more than one black person, one black woman on on the screen.
No, you can't. No, we can't do that. That's unacceptable.
I think I love Alfred Woodard so much that I saw her right where she needed to be. I just, maybe that's my take on it. The way she talked to him and the way that they made her also Zephyr Cochrane's partner. Mm-hmm, they were partners. It wasn't like he was like in charge of her. She really helped get that warp drive thing too. They had worked on it for a long time together. So
hidden figures of warp drive.
Right. Exactly. Because honestly, did he really do anything? I mean,
honestly, we don't know, did he?
We really don't think he did too much of anything.
I don't like that portrayal of Zephyr Cochrane.
Neither do I. I think it's terrible.
That always
I don't like Zephyr Cochrane as this complete and utter drunk. He might have been a drunk. That's fine. He might have been a drunk, but he still would have been a drunk with a little bit more going on.
Yeah.
It's
like he had nothing.
Defeatism, and Lily to be his backbone. But Fran, I really like your point too, because I really enjoyed her in that role as well. And because of what you said, she really was the backbone there, of that operation. And Sabrina,
that's the impression I got.
I love your phrase, the hidden figures of the warp drive. I mean, that's hashtag hidden figures of warp drive.
Thank Miss Sabrina for that.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I like the fact that, and I get exactly what Yvette is saying about this character. It's so funny. I didn't think Lily was going to get this much convo in the show. I think we had about 2 notes on her, and that was like, what was with Lily? But I love the background story that this woman came through World War III, and when those bombs started going off, she had a reaction. And I love the way she played all of that.
Yeah.
That she was like, it's the forces coming in. She was ready to dive under. She was just like, oh my God, it's happening again. And her fear of being on the Enterprise, it was so visceral. It was so real.
Definitely.
But then she pulled herself together. She was like, okay, we're in this Borg things happening. I don't know what this is, but this is for real, for real. We got to get to stepping. She was on the move. She was like, I got to get out of here. I don't know where these white people are going, but I'm going to take this Jeffrey's tube and I'm out.
Yeah, her reactions were very visceral.
Oh,
they were.
They were.
Yeah. So
and what stood out to me, and even though it may be superficial to folks, she had her natural hair.
Oh, that is not.
She had that short, natural hair.
Who are you talking to?
Everybody sitting here got natural hair.
Girl, she was living in Bozeman, Montana. What was she gonna have?
Ain't no superficial about that.
It was.
I know, but you see black women in certain movies, especially certain movies that I'm not gonna name the person. They have such ugly hair and these horrible looking wigs.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, it was a big deal, especially at that time.
Was.
Like when that came out, for her to be in her natural hair, and looking beautiful and fierce and awesome.
Beautiful. Just looking so beautiful. And I'm sitting there looking at the movie, of course I'm loving this. I'm loving this because it's my favorite movie. It's my favorite Trek movie.
I love it.
So I'm sitting there and I'm loving it. And she's got these big, beautiful eyes and this gorgeous bald head. I love it.
She's like, bald.
Okay, well, I'm not saying literally bald. I mean short hair.
Sabrina says that she's looking with about the same amount of hair as Alfie. Talk about bald.
Well, no, not bald. But compared to these ugly ass wigs that black women are put into, she's kind of almost bald, relatively.
No, she's not bald, Fran.
Short hair.
No, she's not.
Crop.
But y'all know, y'all know.
I know what you mean.
I know what you mean. We know
compared to what we see in certain people's movies. Please.
We got
like
you.
Our natural short hair isn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or our natural hair isn't good enough. Be it, a short fro, a big fro, locks. It's not good enough. So
it's okay,
I love that.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right. We don't really, I'm pretty sure at this point, especially with younger women, they could give a damn what anybody thinks about the hair that's coming out their head anymore. So you take me as I am, well, that's it.
That's true. This younger generation has learned a lot from us and what we had to put up with and what we've gone through.
And they think it's ridiculous that we went through it.
Yeah.
We put
but
up
the thing
with
is that being reflected in Hollywood and on TV?
I think it is. I think it is.
Except for
I would debate that. I would highly debate that.
I guess it depends on what you're watching too.
We're gonna check out.
I don't watch
new
TV,
season of Discovery. We better have some
so.
good hair coming out on the next season of Discovery because we had some moments when we were questioning what's going on up there. All right, but let's get back. Let's get back to our sisters. Let's get back to our sisters.
Fran was about to say something though.
Go ahead, Fran.
Go ahead, Fran.
Okay, I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
sorry. That's okay. But I love the movie, and I thought her part in it was right where it needed to be, especially with him. And I thought it was really, you could see when he left. She said, "You're leaving," and he like kissed her on the jaw and everything. I thought that was a real tender moment, and it touched my heart because Picard and his women. All right, we don't know.
So here's a question for you guys: would Picard have been able to accept Lily without having had his relationship with Guinan previously?
Yeah, I think Picard would have. He's a bigger man
I don't
than
think he would.
You don't think he would have?
I don't think he would have. I don't really understand the question. I'm not sure.
Well, I just think that Guinan sort of paved the way for the type of relationship that he had with Lily. Like he was already accustomed to having somebody
outside.
Outside and
of his command,
and really give it to him straight, And I just wonder if he had come into that dynamic cold, like what would his reactions have been like? I don't know that they would have been as smooth. I mean, they weren't that smooth to begin with, but I don't know that, I'm not sure.
Really did have a phaser on him when she first was talking to him.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's interesting to think about. I don't really have a point with it. I just think it's an interesting thought exercise.
But do you think he had a hard time with Guinan though?
Well,
I think that relationship just kind of. I mean, they never told us how it began.
No, I don't.
Yeah, they did. They told us. They told us how it began.
Not really. I mean,
really.
Yeah, they did.
How did it begin?
The San Francisco episode.
In Time Zero.
No.
They told us. That was the beginning.
But we don't know why. How did he accept her to come on the ship? I mean,
how did she get the job?
Years ago,
that part.
He didn't know anything about it. He didn't know anything about their relationship. how they met until way after.
Right.
What we don't know, like what they never told us, the audience, is what happened in between Time Zero and what was that first episode, season 2, episode 1?
The child.
Yeah, thank you. Where she joins the ship.
She knew. But he didn't.
Well, yeah, but he did not.
I'm saying we didn't. We didn't know.
We did not.
We didn't know, like, what all, because they allude to this rich history between the two of them all the time, that they've gone through some shit together. But we never get to see that or hear specifics about it on camera.
So something went on before she came on ship, because otherwise...
Unless you're saying to me, because she has this sense that she can sense out time and she remembers what happened in San Francisco, she just decided to apply for the job on 10 forward because she knew that Picard was going to need her and he didn't know nothing yet. Is that what you're telling me? I don't think that. I don't know.
I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened. She's like, I need a job.
That's feasible.
Can we go to memory beta?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm good.
I think that's feasible, though.
Yeah, I saw something about like their in one of the books, like their history.
Okay, fans, if you know what happened, somebody email us. Go to the website. Tell us what happened.
But not from the books, because the books aren't canon.
Oh, my God.
They're not.
But if they have a clue about what happened, I'll take it.
That's beta canon.
It's beta canon is all right with me.
It's a different time. In the end, it's all going to be a different universe.
Yeah.
And it's all 20 years of books. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, I love it.
Because they're canon now. Because the books now that they're writing are directly related to the episodes that we see on the air. The books now are.
Yeah. They're tie-ins.
Yeah, they're designed to be that way. Okay, enough about the books. Moving back.
Let's talk about Raffi. Raffi is such a genius. And I heard Michelle in an interview say that people can be broken and still be a genius, because her character is broken in some aspects of her life. You know, like most of us, you know, there's some aspects of your life you're not too sharp on, but other aspects you are. Okay, she wasn't, you know, a great mom, evidently, but when it came to intelligence, when it came to what was actually going on with all that stuff with Starfleet and the Romulans, she knew exactly what she was talking about. She wasn't just this out there those crazy
conspiracy theorist.
Thank you. She wasn't.
She actually had some real facts to back it up.
Yeah,
she was Starfleet intelligence.
She was Starfleet intelligence, exactly.
So she had the facts. There's no conspiracy. I'm gonna tell you what's happening.
But nobody listened to her, though. They didn't listen to her.
And then we come to find out there's a reason for that. That she was right. There was an active cover-up going on. Yeah. You know, she was a casualty of that.
And this was the time that Picard did not listen when she was under his command. He didn't. Yeah. He didn't particularly listen to that because she didn't have any facts yet.
She didn't have enough evidence.
She had. It was coming up. It was forming in her brain, and she gave him that when we saw the flashback. In I think episode 3, she was telling him outside, you know, there's this conspiracy and they're hiding it, and he had already given the resignation, so you know it was done. It was done, and that scene really gets me because the look on her face when he tells her that, you know, they didn't buy the plan and is not going to go with it. And she just says, yeah, but you got another plan, right? We're going to do something else, right? And she just has those big brown eyes on him like, well, what are we going to do now, JL? Because you don't give up. What are we going to do next? And that's when he just tells her he's out. He's going home. That was it.
That was mine, yeah.
Wow.
And speaking of JL, did y'all notice how people were angry about her calling him JL? Yeah. And in my head, from my point of view, I thought it had something to do with the character herself, had the nerve to call him JL. Okay, so this black woman can't call him JL? she called him JL. He had no objection to it. He answered.
I don't think they wanted anybody to call him JL, much less like her.
It was too familiar.
It was too familiar to a lot of
they
people.
didn't want it. I don't think I had to do anything because I was like, what? What is she saying? But after a while, who cared? He was cool with it.
Yeah,
he didn't have any problem.
Right, it's an indication.
But I had the issue too. I was like, huh? JL, what the hell is that? But whatever.
Just shows
the first time everybody was like, JL, what's JL? Where'd that come from? Who's this person?
But I get what Fran is saying, that people were getting, there were some people that were getting a little irritated that she presumed this closeness that she could give him another name that was all her own. And who this bitch thinks she was?
And I was like that in the beginning, in the first few episodes. But after a while, when you realize that it's, not something new. She's been with him. I was like, cool, it's all right. He doesn't care.
Because she called him JL during that meeting you're talking about, Sabrina. The flashback, she called him JL.
She always called him that.
Yeah, she always called him. I think once, I can't speak for everybody else, but I think once I saw that, I kind of got okay. I was okay with it.
Which is kind of strange because she was still under his command.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we saw with that was the fan base, that outspoken minority, that very vocal, hateful minority. There was that Twisted took that one little nugget and blew it way up out of proportion. And they did have an issue with it. But that's that little bit of people who have an issue with everything. They have an issue with everything, and they especially have an issue if it involves somebody with darker skin. And I don't know how they got to be part of a Star Trek fan base. I don't know what show they've been watching since 1968, whatever. There's another fandom out there for you somewhere, but it's not here. So, I don't even really pay attention to that mess anymore. You know what I'm saying? I just let it roll. It was a little jarring. I just think that it got blown out of proportion. It's not that big of a deal, but people made it a big deal. But it was a tool of that racist attack that was going on online against Raffi. And just like we saw it with Michael Burnham's character, we see it with Raffi's character. And that's just, moving on. You know what I'm saying? Moving on. I ain't got time for you people. Bye.
I did want to bring that up, though, because I thought it was pure nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Pure nonsense. Because when she called him JL, I'm like, well, okay, that's what kind of relationship they got. Okay. All right, there we go. So I thought it was, let's see, we talked about.
Can I just make, before we leave Raffi, I mean, first of all, I just think it's dope that, she's Starfleet intelligence. And I just love to watch her at work on the console, cracking shit, cracking all these codes and getting behind all these, barriers. I'm like,
it has been
Raffi.
So long since that show was on that I cannot remember anything. How could you remember that? I'm like, I forgot about that.
Well,
it's
because
been forever
I just watched some this morning.
That'll do it.
I just watched some last night.
Because you remember when he called her and he said, "You're doing the work, aren't you?" She said, "No." He said, "I'm sending you this shit," and send it to her.
Boy.
Remember that? Yvette,
yes,
you forgot that.
I forgot that. Yeah, because I love Raffi.
It said carry on.
I felt like I finally had a character that not that I look like, that I, because she's in I do the same type of thing she does. And it was like, wow, this is cool. But that show has been off the air so long that I totally forgot about everything when it came to Raffi. Oh yeah, that's right. I do love her. It's been on. It's been like over a year since that damn show has been on.
I still look at it. I still, because I looked at I can't think of it. What's the episode where they went? It started off really
Stardust
ugly.
City Rag.
Yes, when she did her thing, and thank you very much. When she, said, "Look, this is the way you're supposed to do. I just joined you into you now, the seer. You're this and that, and look, this is what we gotta pull this off. You know?
She came up with the whole character and dossier for each of them, which is really cool. And
I saw the little thing. Well, I guess who I am. I saw the little thing between her and Seven when she was putting the handcuffs on her.
Yeah, you saw that.
I saw it. I saw this
I did not peep that at all.
I did.
That was just like woman respecting another badass woman. One badass woman respecting another badass woman. I read zero into that. But everybody else, a lot of other people did. So I was like, oh, okay, I missed that. Like that's
I saw it.
Right over
they were so
head.
Close. Physically, they were so close.
I mean,
and the way she whispered at her, the way she leaned in
with it,
and she I'm like,
she was just trying to be circumspect, like that's the thing. Like I thought, because like JL was right there, and he had just dressed down Seven for being part of the Fenris Rangers and for her lifestyle, as a vigilante, and Seven was like, sure,
Picard being Picard.
And she's like pompous ass, and so I thought that Raffi was just being like, and by the way, girl, I got your back. I like
right.
it.
That's all I saw.
Like, that's what I saw.
Three out of 4 women only saw.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
That's not what I saw. I saw something different.
A lot of my gay friends said that, they read that as a heavily coded scene, and it went right over my head. I'm sorry to say, but I get it. I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Whatever. But I still think it was a power. That was a power play right there.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right.
In more ways than one.
I'm sure.
Can we go back to Maps and Legends? Was that episode 2?
Oh yeah.
Picard?
Give me a summary.
Or episode 3.
That's when he first meets Raffi and she's at her hovel.
Yeah.
No, he meets her at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end, very end, when he has the wine.
That was episode 1.
That's the end. Then episode 2, Maps and Legend, is when we actually sit down, and
they
talk
to
Raffi.
Okay. Yeah.
Was that episode 2? Okay, so that wasn't the end as the beginning. I thought that was episode 3.
That's
and the end is the beginning. 3. Okay, so Maps and Legends, we get that cutaway. We see her at Vasquez Rocks. Mm-hmm. And we see, like, she's literally, like you said, like you wrote, eking out an existence, right? Like she's it's bare bones. But then in episode 3, we get to have, which is where I wanted to get to, we really get to have that discussion that she gets to lay it down to Picard, how he treated her, and how pompous and selfish and short-sighted he was in his actions. And really lay into him and lay it out, like what life has been like for her, because she's now a disgraced Federation officer. She couldn't even leave. She didn't even get the benefit of leaving the organization with her dignity and honor. She was kicked out.
I lost my security clearance.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started to say, and I lost my, and now going back, I think she was going to say, and I lost my son.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And her husband. She lost her whole family.
Lost her family.
She lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
And one long slide into humiliation and rage.
The way she delivers that line, it makes me stop every time. Just my heart beats.
I gotta go watch Picard.
Yeah.
And he just sat there. He just sat there and was like, I had no idea. She was like, not even in 15 years, not even a birthday card. What did she say? Don't even like, hi, Raffi, how you doing?
Right.
And now you come here because you want something?
That's who he is. And that's exactly who he is, too.
And he needed, and that's what I love about this show, though, the Picard show, is that it shows that these are lessons that he needs to learn. Like maybe too late, but maybe not too late. He needs to learn some humility. He needs to learn how his actions affect the people that he professes to love. Yeah. And she really
he can't be a pompous ass.
He is a pompous ass.
He is a pompous ass.
He's a pompous ass because he is a man who was in control of a Galaxy-class starship for 25 years. He had his finger on the button. He is the Arbiter of Succession. He is the, he's the cutest of Borg. He's a pompous ass.
Yeah, he's a pompous ass for a reason. Like, he could, I didn't say I didn't like his pompous ass. I love his pompous ass, but you have to accept the fact that he's a pompous ass. I'm not putting a judgment on it. I'm just calling it out.
Right.
So, take it down, sisters. I know you.
No, but I think it's very interesting that the three women.
I am not a Picard. I don't like Picard at all.
No. The three women know Picard in different stages, and their relationship with Picard and the way they speak to him is different from when they know him.
Yes.
If you watch Guinan's interactions with him, they're so gentle. She may come at him and say some stuff.
I was going to make that point. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Guinan, so we're shifting. So Raffi told him, what he needed to hear in that moment. He needed to hear it. Okay, moving on. Guinan, I thought, as I was thinking about how different their interactions are, these three women, Guinan always had like like a brick wrapped in velvet. Like Guinan with her words. Guinan was really soft-spoken. She was calm. I love how Whoopi played her role because we always, first of all, when you see the Black person as the moral compass for the white lead in anything, it's usually like some bombastic character, they only fall into a few tropes, right? And
you're stepping over there into the magical Negro. Watch it, Guinan.
Right, Guinan was so close to that.
She was
a little magical Negro. Yeah,
right.
Definitely skirting that line. But but she did avoid the angry Black woman.
Yes.
Trope, which I love. I thank you, Whoopi, for choosing to play. Guinan has been there, done that for a million years, for so long, for centuries, right? This woman is centuries old. She's traveled multiple galaxies. She's traveled everywhere. She's done battle with the Q. She's gotten the best of the Q. She should not be up there getting phased by anything, her feathers should not be ruffled. And Whoopi Goldberg played that perfectly. And she always played her with that low pitched, very calm, very meditative look. I'm just going to keep it like this and tell you, Picard, this is the real deal. Every time you're just like, oh, I aspire to that. One day I might be that calm about something. I don't know.
She told him on yesterday's Enterprise, and she said, "This is the way it is. I don't know why I know, but you have to listen to me." Mm-hmm. She didn't go in there shouting. She wasn't, she's really laid back and calm, and she got her point across. And then when they asked him, when he said, "Okay, they're going back to their time." And who said, you just gonna listen to what Guinan say? He said, "Yeah, sure am." And I'm giving you my orders, and that's what you're gonna do. It's as simple as that. Because he was a different Picard in the yesterday's Enterprise, for most of yesterday's Enterprise. But when they questioned him and him listening to Guinan, he was like, "Yeah, well, whatever. Y'all just do what I say," because she knows what she's talking about. I'm not quoting him verbatim, but that's basically what he told him.
I think the one that it was really interesting is Borg when she was talking to him there, because they were on the same page at the beginning of the episode. Mm-hmm. And just an aside, this episode is really interesting because I hadn't watched it in a few months or whatever the rotation is on H&I. But it was interesting to me to see how important.
I know, right? Thank you, H&I, for being in our lives.
We love you, H&I. If you're listening, we love you.
No, you are.
You are.
So it was really interesting to me how important pronouns were in this world where we're doing, she, her, people are pushing back about, well, why do people have to have all these pronouns? And it was that pronoun that snapped Picard out of the whole thing when Hugh ever said, "I don't want," and he said, "What did you say?" And it just really struck me rewatching that, the importance of pronouns in this show that's 20-something years old. And so if you don't get why people are putting their pronouns up and why it's important to address them and use them correctly for these people, go watch iBorg and then come back and talk to me. But
three SyFy Sistas snaps in a circle.
Go ahead. Yeah. Hey, snap.
Use the right pronouns, people. Just get with it. So the other thing I really liked about this episode is that Guinan was really angry. Like the Borg are to her what the Klingons were to Kirk, and as soon as she sees Borg, she's going red alert, and she's not having it. But when she finally, again, the key person there was Geordi, which is why we still don't understand why Geordi wasn't in Picard. I want to just say that too.
Oh, another three SyFy Sistas snaps in a circle.
Listen. So when Geordi said to Guinan, well, why don't you just go? She said, I don't want to talk to him. And Geordi said, well, then why don't you just go down and listen? That's what you do best. I said, oh.
Right. I know. Geordi came back with a snap.
Yeah. I told you that Geordi episode. Geordi is no joke.
Geordi is no joke.
Yeah.
And LeVar,
in a minute.
If you're listening.
And we know you are.
We love you. Just like we did.
We still love you. It hasn't changed from the last episode that we talked about you.
So when she goes to talk to Picard, she basically, after she listened to Hugh, and she comes back to Picard and she's talking to him, and he snaps at her and gets all up in her face. And like you said, Fran, she doesn't change. She just starts again with him. She said, if you're going to use this person, Picard yells at her. She waits. If you're going to use this person to destroy his race, maybe you should look him in the eye first.
Yep. Oh, love it. Love it. Boom. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Slow, quiet pivot on her heel. Float out in her Guinan robes.
She just float on out the room. But I love the way she came at him, and she's so different from the way Lily comes at him. First thing she's screaming is, yelling and swearing at him. And then Raffi is just completely, I can't take this old man anymore. So it was just really, really interesting to watch the three interactions.
Well, she had a gun on, Raffi had a gun on him too. And she basically told me you need to call a cab back and take your ass where you came from.
Then he showed us some wine. Sure and then he said, I got some wine.
Which I was upset about. Because he don't even know that she's had these issues with addiction, and you bring her a bottle of wine. I was like,
no, he knew. According to the history, she had, and he helped her overcome that while they were serving together.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So that was really kind of not cool.
He knew. Yeah,
he's not cool. He is not cool.
He's not cool.
Not cool, JL.
He wants what he wants.
He's never been cool. What are you talking about?
He's never
always
cool.
Been this way.
But he's the Arbiter of Succession.
He has always been this way. Stop it.
Yeah.
He's going to get what he wants to get.
Right.
So he knew that if he bought her some wine, he could get her to talking and get on her good side.
And
I thought that was evil.
Did. Yeah. She threw that water out and said, come on, bring your ass. You and the wine. Come on back.
That's right. Thanks for the wine. You can go now.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
JL
and his sisters, Yeah,
these four sisters.
Did you just say four?
Four.
We got three. Oh, these four sisters.
These four sisters. And these four sisters. Us.
And those three sisters.
I gotta love them. I would have followed him. Would you have followed Picard in this crazy quest? Would you have gone with him if he came to you with a bottle of wine?
I would have taken the bottle of wine. If
he had come to me with a bottle of wine, I would have cussed his pompous ass out.
Right? Like, you know better.
That's what I'm saying.
The hell you and your wine doing here? What? Come on now.
You know better, shorty.
You know. Can't do no wine, bro.
But then I probably would have gone on the quest anyway, though. Because I would have been too curious.
Exactly. Raffi doesn't go on the quest until the magic word pops up.
Him. He's a great leader, even though he's an ass. You're gonna follow him wherever he goes.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I would have gone. Like
unless he's doing archaeology, then screw that. I'm not doing that crap. But everything else, yeah, I follow him. I don't even like the guy.
You know what I would watch?
What?
I would watch Raffi and Garrick. I would watch Raffi and Garrick on the show. Wouldn't that be dope?
Man.
Wouldn't that be dope?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. The dialogue. Ooh, the dialogue. Wow.
My favorite Raffi line was
hey, Paramount, if you're listening.
We know you are.
Raffi and Garrick need to be doing something together. Y'all need to pull it up. You need to pull Garrick out of the dust him off and bring him back.
He's probably the leader of the Cardassian Union by now.
Right?
Yeah. Ooh.
That's kind of scary, but.
I mean, just can you imagine what the two of them could get up to?
Yeah, they would be.
It's kind of scary.
That's scary. I'm a little nervous now.
Starfleet intelligence, and what does he tell you?
And the Tal Shiar.
No,
that's not the Tal Shiar. They're
he's a simple tailor, y'all.
Oh yes. Yes.
I must get back to my hymns and
my hymns. They're not the Tal Shiar. What are they? What is the Obsidian
Order? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Right. I mean, because I kept thinking about like when we're watching Raffi at work, decrypting these codes and how she's like, she's like, following the path. I'm like, she's just like Garrick. Garrick like follows that path. You're like, how do you know this? Like, Garrick can figure something out too. Yeah. Well, also because Garrick has
he's kind of evil.
He kills people for information.
In a minute, but I could kill people in a minute.
I could imagine them having to team up for, for really
a mission.
I would just love to hear them spar. Words
because Raffi was ready to throw.
Well, I think the dialect between them would be pretty good.
Listeners, if you are fan fiction writers out there, somebody needs to write that story. I'm giving you that idea for free.
Yes, do it. Make sure you have Bashir. Make sure Bashir is there.
That's right.
With Garrick as his.
That would be good.
Concubine.
That's his muse.
That's his concubine. You said that's
what?
His concubine.
His muse. Whatever. I want to see.
I want to quote muse.
Right? Yeah. I want to read that story.
Every artist or photographer everywhere. She's my muse. Oh, you hitting that? Oh, okay. Why don't you just
my God!
Why don't you just say that? We're all adults.
What's your favorite Raffi line?
I would love to see that. Bring that back. Picard. I want to see Garrick and Bashir. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Raffi line, Sabrina?
Oh, I just loved it when she said, she told Picard when he was going to bring the doctor on board, and she said, "Oh, who's this adorable little homicidal double agent?"
Right?
Have you not learned anything? Any simple background check?
Right? Like, so Agnes just gets to tag along now?
Agnes.
So Agnes just gets to come around? Wow.
Ooh, have we met? And she looks at her like, she give her that sister look like, WTF.
She sure
gives
did.
her that sister look like,
Agnes.
Like, if you don't get that
Who are
hand
you,
out of
lady?
my face,
I'm
going to slap that hand down, girl.
And she said, yeah. When they found out she was before they found out who she was, she said, yeah, I remember you being all excited in your little blue coat.
I'm telling you, Garrick and Raffi is a brilliant.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Because y'all know that some sister would say, yeah, you come on up here with your little red thing on and all that. And thank you.
Okay. We're going to have to start tweeting about that and make this happen.
Write it ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all three of those women in different parts of in different stages of Picard's life told him what he needed to hear and not what he wanted to hear. And they pretty much changed history every time. If you think about it, they changed history.
And before we completely leave them, I just have one last point. I need to go back to Guinan because it was something that I was thinking about too. Like, and it was also in our notes, but I mean, I had this very same thought all the time. Like, Troy is there on the ship as a counselor, right? But it's Guinan who's really the one who has Picard's ear. And, you know, it's at some point you're like, why do we need two counselors on the ship? You know, like, but Guinan was more informal, and I think people might feel a little bit more comfortable, you know, talking to her. But as far as in relation to Picard, I saw more often than not Picard really heed Guinan's advice and words more than he heeded Troy's. Like, he was always just like, okay, counselor, you know, like, whatever, counselor. Like, he was always so dismissive of her, you know, and just like, you know, go on back to your duties, you know.
But Troy's job was almost more self-care. As we say now, she was the one that was making sure that they were okay. Not necessarily that they were, you know, Picard was going to Guinan or Guinan was going to Picard. A lot of times Picard was not seeking her out. Guinan was going to him and telling him what he needed to do. Mm-hmm. But it was more of a moral or an ethical thing as opposed to Troy's role. I don't know. That's how I felt about it.
Yeah, I think it wasn't there. There was actually an episode where that was actually discussed between Troy and Guinan. I think Troy had lost her powers, and Guinan told her, "Well, since you're gonna resign, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and become the counselor." And
great.
You know, see Troy's face.
Yeah, because Troy was acting like such a little bee about it. Like, she was acting like such a little. I don't have
as Riker told her.
Hi, welcome to being human.
I love that part. But I think that was. But I think like Guinan, I don't remember who said it, but Guinan is the counselor, but she's the counselor everybody wants to go to. Where, you know, Deanna is the counselor that no one wants to go to, but probably has to go to, you know, because
HR
at your job, you know, especially that type of job, you know, you have to think about all the stuff that the enterprise goes through. They have to put somebody on there. But, you know, I think that was already kind of talked about, how they're both kind of the counselor roles, but one is one you want to go to because you're going out to have a drink. And just like if you have a regular bartender, you know, you talk to your bartender. Usually you're drunk talking to your bartender, but you talk to him. But then there's the person you have to talk to because of your job. And that's who Troy was. Yeah,
Troy was like the make you do work, personal introspection type of counselor. And Guinan was the like, I'm going to give you what you need. You know, I'm going to give you the wisdom. Yeah.
So in Measure of a Man,
from a race of listeners.
I can't remember. Did Picard go to her? Did Picard go to Guinan in Measure of a Man and ask about? I can't remember if he went to her or she went to him about Data.
I know they had a conversation, but I can't remember.
Oh, they had a classic conversation in Measure of a Man. I think that's a bit harsh.
I seem to remember, like, I think that she went to him.
I think she went to him.
I'm not sure.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, she goes to him in yesterday's Enterprise, and she goes to him in Borg. Like, it's not usual that he. I think he might have stopped down in 10 forward.
I'm trying to remember that scene, and I'm pretty sure they were in 10 forward.
They were in 10 forward. I think he went to her.
Wasn't that was season 2? So 10 forward was always in a scene. So they were pushing that thing.
It was just a very.
That's when they brought up when he asked her, "Oh, you're talking about slavery, aren't you?" Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were definitely a 10 forward. Yeah, they were in 10 forward.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
But I love their talks with each other. They're very, they are very soft and gentle, and she's listening to him, and she's calling him on his. As I said, she calls him on his moral bullshit
all the time.
And I think Raffi calls him on his emotional bullshit, and then we have Lily in between.
Yeah, who's calling him on both.
Yeah.
I want to see if in season 2 of Picard, if Raffi is going to get her accolades that she deserves
after saving everybody.
Me too. Yeah.
I want to see if she's going. If they're going to say, you were. I mean, everybody knows that she was right the whole time.
Right. Conclave of 8.
Yes.
And the conspiracy.
And I wonder if her son is going to apologize to her and say, "Yeah, Mom, you were right. We had no idea you were right." Because, she's another example of being the smartest person in the room. And she was about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so. And being dismissed. And I think, I love the fact that you wanted to talk about these 3 women and highlight them, because of our history of Black women of being dismissed, so much, or our work going unacknowledged. I think it's really important. I'm glad you wanted to do this episode, because I think it was really, really good to talk about this and to highlight these women's importance in these huge events that are going on in this universe.
Because in real life, we knew nothing. I didn't. And I live right here in the area. I knew nothing about the Hidden Figures over there at Langley and all that they did and all that they helped people get in space. We saw The Right Stuff. Nothing. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that because I was so mad about the movie that I didn't watch it. So I shouldn't say that they weren't in it. Right? But I don't think they were. If I was wrong, y'all will tell me. I don't think they even hinted that they had the human computers and the human computers. Black women.
No, it wasn't that story. They weren't telling that story. So
I've been like a little NASA junkie since I was a kid, and I had never heard anything about that.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's important. Right. So, I mean, and our mission as SyFy Sistas is to call out, shine light on our roles, and how we're represented in these venues, and to give some light to it. So I love the fact that you suggested doing this show, because it was a lot of fun going back and watching some of the stuff that I hadn't seen in a long time. Like I hadn't watched First Contact in years, and I had such a good time watching that, I forgot what a great movie that is, and a few of these episodes, I hadn't watched any of the Picard episodes in a long time. So that was a real joy to go back and watch those again. And just to watch Michelle Hurd in action on anything. I mean, I swear, Michelle Hurd, I bow to you. If you're listening.
And we know you are.
No, you are. I bow to you. You're a personal goddess. So
I think all 3 of these actors were phenomenal in these roles. And they just really brought so much, especially Alfre Woodard, but having one shot at it and being so memorable to us. And of course, Whoopi just loving Guinan, and Michelle is just knocking it out of the park. And I think, in this day and age when we're talking about this, I want to give a shout out to the writers of these episodes to give this voice to these Black women at a time when this really wasn't a thing. And even now we're talking about it. 25 years later, we are talking about this. But they gave these women voices in these shows. And I want to thank those writers. And maybe Picard wasn't such a... What was Hanley's? What did she call him? Pompous ass. Yes, he was. Yvette, yes, he was, right? Yvette?
He was. Yes,
He was.
Let's leave Yvette's guy. Y'all leave Yvette's man alone.
Who's Yvette's man? Picard. Look at Yvette's face.
Look at her face.
Nope.
Audience, you should see Yvette's face.
My
But
favorite
I just
person.
want to give Picard a kudos for listening to the sisters when they told him
That's
you're
right.
in danger.
Danger, Bill Robinson.
That's Ida Mae Brown. You're in danger, girl.
I
You a
think
danger girl.
It's been a great discussion. Fran, thank you so much for
And
bringing up the topic.
wait.
Oh,
Guess what? We talked
What?
about 3 women, and guess what? They're not dead.
They're not dead.
They're not dead.
You're right. They lasted all the way through everything. They lasted. You know, the black people first to go.
Especially in Picard.
Oh my God! Yes.
Oh my gosh.
5 minutes into the show, damn! Look at this cool dude. Oh, bye. Oh.
Watch out, Raffi.
And the second, oh yeah, some sisters were killed on Mars. That was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the sisters and
Oh, they
the
were-
brother.
I'm gonna have to do a black person count on Picard.
That's what you know. What
tell them that.
if we do another Picard recap, we are going to have to keep a black person tally because they were killing us off left
The
and right.
red shirts
they
of
were.
Star Trek.
And the poor dude had a red shirt on, that first guy.
I know, right?
Did he? Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Not right.
And the poor ex-senator Romulan got his head literally
Oh,
decapitated.
Yep.
You see, writers, we giveth and we taketh away.
Star
Brother
Trek
Don.
Picard writers, we know if you're listening,
Yeah, we know you are.
get it together when it comes to black folks. Y'all are failing miserably. Your grade is an F minus.
Oh, Picard.
Damn. We
On
just
Picard.
said how much
We love them. I know. I just
It's an F minus when it comes to black
Pickle
actors. Though.
bitches.
I mean, just having Raffi doesn't give you a pass.
Well,
Like
that's-
Shorty, and every other black character got killed. That's an F. That's a
Minus.
failing grade.
minus F
An
minus.
F minus.
All humiliated. Remember the lady reporter? She got up there, did what reporters do, and he said, "Okay,
Oh, she's the only one who
Get this
survived.
She's the only one that
doing this for
survived.
Her and Raffi, the only ones who survived.
At least she
you know
didn't
what? No,
die.
she didn't get killed,
Get
but she
killed.
got humiliated." He was like, "We're done here. Bye." So I'm like,
I think,
"Okay."
she, I
I
don't
didn't
think
like
she's
her
the one that
character.
got humiliated.
That's what I'm saying. She got humiliated.
I'm saying I don't think she was the one. I think he got humiliated.
Yeah, he was the one who's
According to
really.
Raffi.
She really took it to him.
According to Raffi, right?
I saw that.
I saw that newscast you did.
I've never known you to be
Sitting
such a
in there with the
chatterbox.
beans. Sitting in there with your beans and your
All right, we've just
what is
lost
it,
all
early
sense.
furniture or something
We're
like that.
off
I
the
saw that
rails.
interview.
Shut us down,
We're
Tamia.
off
Shut
the
us
rails.
down.
Shut
It
us
is
down.
time. Okay, because we could talk about this ad nauseum, and we don't. Y'all
Yeah,
don't
we
want to listen
could.
to that. So it has been a really fantastic discussion, though, which is what I was trying to say. Thank you, Fran, for the topic. Thank you for leading us. No,
You're
Yvette,
welcome.
You're going to have to go to the timeout corner. Thank you for leading us in a great discussion. And we really, really want to know your thoughts. We're getting lots of mail in, and on our website, you can email us, which is what we would love, because we want to know what your thoughts are on this discussion about these Black women in Picard's life, or anything else that we talk about. So Yvette, how can people get in touch with us?
Well, you can find us at SyFy Sistas.com. That's SyFySistas.com. Join us on the mothership. That's MUTHASHIP. And the SyFy Sistas Book Club, both on Facebook. Download the Trek Geeks Network app, where you can find us and our family of podcasts on the Trek Geeks Network. On Instagram, syfy.sisters. And we are also on the Twitter at SyFy Sistas. After listening to this podcast, please rate us and write a review. We may just read it on an upcoming episode.
Thank you, everybody. And I want to give a shout out to the baddest engineer in any universe. That's Dose the Anonymous. Dose the Anonymous. Dose. We have our own little soundtrack going for Dose the Anonymous. He's responsible for all the music you hear on our show, as well as the wonderful engineering skills. So if you are in need of engineering services or music production, you can find him at dosetheanonymous@gmail.com. That's dosetheanonymous1 at gmail.com. DOSTHEANONYMOUS, the number 1 at gmail.com. And this has been a blast, y'all. Thanks for listening. We can't wait to see you next time. Bye.
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 Peace, love, and hair grease.